Hi guys and welcome. I've been away for about a week as I had a few things to do, but now I am back into it. So today I'm going to be doing a full face of Dior. Now a little while ago they released some new Backstage products and I picked them up probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, but because there were so many other new releases I never got round to showing it to you in a video. And then I wasn't too sure whether I would do a video now because even though it's new in the beauty world, it isn't like a hot new release. But I have tried it out, the eyeshadow palette, a couple of times and I do think it's really beautiful. So if you've been wondering about it, then maybe this video might help you. I've done all my skincare for the morning. The last step is sunscreen and I put another lot of sunscreen on probably about 10 minutes before I started this video. Now for primer today, I'm going to use the Dior Forever Glow. This is the Star Filter. I have this in, I think it is 2. And I was late to the game with this and I only purchased this probably about 6 weeks ago now, but I really love it. I think it is beautiful and gives a really gorgeous base to your foundation. You can even wear it on its own if you want to. And I don't think I've worn it on its own actually, but it gives this really gorgeous illumination to the skin, but not too much. You're not going to look like a Tin Man or anything like that, but it does go beautifully under the foundations. So I'm just going to let this sit for about 2 or 3 minutes and then I'll get into the foundation. So for the foundation today, I've got quite a few different Dior foundations and of course that foundation stick that they released this year is absolutely beautiful. But the one that I'm going to use today is the Dior Forever. This is the Natural Nude. This is available in the US. This was released for New Zealand, Australia, and I think Asia as well, probably about 3 years ago now. So I have this in the shade 3N, and you can see I've used quite a bit of it. It's a beautiful foundation. And I don't know why I got 3N instead of, because I'm usually 2.5N in Dior foundations, but this still works. And even though it's getting on to about 3 years old now, it still smells fine and it still works really beautifully, because sometimes when they do these newer products that have the cleaner ingredients in them, some products can expire quite quickly, but this one still works really beautifully. And even though it's 3N, I still use it. I don't want to waste it. I probably would go to 2.5N the next time that I purchase this. But for now, the 3N works just fine. So this works either with a brush or a beauty blender. I'm just using a beauty blender today, and I quite like using beauty blenders when the weather's warmer. It's now full on spring here in New Zealand and the weather is definitely warmer, and actually today it's a little bit humid. So I do quite enjoy putting makeup on with a beauty blender. So not only do I wet it under a tap and then squeeze out the excess water in a towel, what I've also found is if you pop it in the freezer, not for long, probably about 5 minutes at the most, it really cools it down. It becomes this really icy cool sponge, and that just makes the whole process of putting on your makeup really lovely, especially in the warmer weather. And for concealer, I'm going to use the Dior Forever. This is the Skin Correct. This one is in the shade 2WP. Now, if I don't mention the shades or the product that I'm using, as always, I have everything listed and linked in the description box below. I really love this concealer. I think I also have this, it might be in, is it 3N or another shade? Well, I'll just go and check. So the other one that I've got is 2.5N, but I tend to reach for the 2WP more because it has a peachiness to it. So not only does it conceal, but it also corrects as well. So to blend this out, I'm going to grab my BK Beauty brush and just blend this out. And then, as usual, I don't always show it on camera, but then I always go over using my finger as well, just to make sure that concealer just is melded in with my skin. So I've just been busy doing a few other things. At the moment, we are seriously considering getting solar panels in here. So I've had someone round for a quote and just to check out the property. And I think this week we'll be getting the quote back for that. Now at this stage I'm not sure whether we'll have a battery as well. I mean, that would be ideal, but it is fairly pricey getting the solar panels and the battery in as well. And you can always put a battery in at a later date. And the other good thing about this is with the solar panels, they don't have to go on the roof of a house, because if you saw my last vlog and I took you down the driveway, there's a whole lot of sheds down there, and that's where the whole power supply is down there, and then it runs up to the house. So the solar panels, if we decide to get them in the end, they will go on one of those sheds, which also face north, which is where we get our all-day sun. So that's where they will go. And of course the inverters, and also if we decide to get a battery, will all go down there as well. So just waiting for the quote, and if it isn't too outrageous, then we will definitely get some, at the very least, the solar panels, and maybe, as I was saying, a battery. It might be straight away, or maybe in a year or two. You can always add the battery on later. But because we live in a rural area, the battery would be really good, because you tend to get not a huge amount, probably half a dozen to about 8 power cuts here a year. And then also tomorrow they're doing a planned power outage. It's just during the day, but it's still a bit of a nuisance. And because our water is pumped up to the water tank here at the house, when the power goes out or you have the planned power outage, we don't get any water, because you need power to supply the pump to get the water to the house. So there's all these different type of issues when you live out in a rural area. So I'm really looking forward to when that is going to be eventually installed. I think once we accept the quote, something on my face there, I think once we accept the quote, then it's about another 3 weeks after that, because they have to file some paperwork with the power company and that we use at the moment as well. The power company that we have is pretty good, but of course the power, and I think it's the same in the States for you guys as well, the price of power just seems to be going up and up and up. So although solar initially is fairly expensive, in the long run you do get your money back with solar power. So really looking forward to getting that. So I'm just going to use the Dior powder just to set my foundation. I won't use bronzer today, because as well as the eyeshadow palette, I also picked up, it is the Glow Face palette. And since I'll be using that as a blush and a highlight, just so you can see the shade properly, it's better if I don't put on bronzer. I can always put on bronzer later if I want to. So let's take a look at the Dior Backstage, the eye palette. This is in 004 and it is called Celestial Purple. As I said, I've already used this a couple of times, so it's not in pristine condition. But this is the colour story of it. I think it's really beautiful. So you've got some mattes, shimmers and satin in here as well. And I've been tending to use it just the 3 rows at a time, not going all over the palette. So I've used this row here and this row here. I don't think I've used anything from here yet. So today I think I will use this row here just to show you what the blue looks like, but it just performs really beautifully. So I'll swatch it as well, and it is left to right, top to bottom. So I'll start off the first one. This is a pearl and this is a satin shade. Then we've got another satin shade, and that one is a coral. That's actually quite faint. It might have been me. We'll just give that another go. It is quite a faint colour. And then we've got another satin, and this is a bronze shade. Then we're going to the middle row, and then we've got lilac, and that is a shimmer, which is gorgeous. We've got a pink, that is also a shimmer. And then we've got a satin, and that is a really beautiful plum. And then the last row, we've got a silver, and that is a satin. Then we've got a shimmer, and that is an icy blue. And then lastly, we've got a matte, and that is velvet, and that is deep blue. So today I'm going to use the bottom row and show you what that looks like. I've used that one before. It is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to take a BK Beauty brush, and I'm going to start off with this deep blue, and I'm going to put that in the outer corner. Now it is fairly pigmented, this one. So I'm going to start off the outer corner, and I'm going to take that through the crease and going to take it right up onto the brow bone as well. But these blend really beautiful, and sometimes with blue shades you can have trouble with them. Sometimes they can be a little bit patchy, but I don't find that with this formula. I think it is really beautiful. Now I have quite a few of these Backstage palettes, the older ones with the older formula that also used to have eyeshadow primer in it as well. Of course they don't have that anymore. And the older ones I really loved, and these new ones, I think they perform really well too. Then I'm just going to take a clean fluffy brush and just go over that. I'm just going to soften out all the edges. Now I'm going to stay with that shade, and I'm just got the Rapper number 3, and I'm going to run a little bit of that under my lower lash line. And then what's left on the brush, I'm not going back into the pan again, I'm just going to sweep over the rest of my lid, just so you get the faintest amount of colour on there. Then I'm going to take another BK Beauty brush. This is the A505, and next I'm going to go into the silver shade here, but I'm going to use this mirror just so I can see what I'm doing. This is a really good brush for applying this type of formula. Now that silver is just beautiful, and of course silver always goes really gorgeous, especially with those deep blues, but I think it is really pretty. And then I've just wiped this brush down, and finally I'm going to go into this middle shade here. This one here is a shimmer, and it's a really beautiful icy blue, and I'm going to put that over the top of the silver and a tiny bit just over that matte shade as well. Now I've just wiped down my Rapper brush. I'm going to stay with this shimmer shade, and I'm going to put some of this in my inner corner. Now if you didn't want to put the icy blue in the inner corner, there's always this shade up here, and I think that would look really pretty as well. Now I'm just going back into this deeper shade down here, and I just want to put a little bit more of this on the lower lash line. I like to start off fairly easy because it's always easier to add on top of the shade than try and get rid of some if you've overdone it. But just on the outer third, just want to put a little bit more on. So for the eyeliner, I use one of the reformulated, this is the Dior Show ones, and this is in the shade Matte Grey. I always think that grey goes really beautiful with blues, and also those icy blues as well. And I also think it goes very beautiful if you're using plum and pink shades as well. So here is the finished eye look. And I think it is gorgeous. It is that icy look, and even though it is spring here and really warm, I think the icy look is beautiful, and I think it almost makes me feel probably just a little bit cooler, but it blended beautifully, and I think the finished look is gorgeous. So now let's take a look at the Dior Backstage. This is the Glow Face Palette, and this is in the 1006 in Celestial Glow. Now I think the products that I'm using today, I think they are all still available, but as I said earlier in the video, I will have everything listed and linked below. I think these are still on the Dior site and at least a couple of other places as well. So this looks really beautiful. Now in here we have a blush and then a glitter and also a strobe shade as well. So it's just absolutely beautiful. So here you've got the glitter white, and then here you've got the strobe and the coral, and then here is the blush in a rose. And down here again, that icy blue, beautiful, and that is a glitter. So we've got the white, which is in a glitter, and that is a blingy one for sure. And then we've got the strobe, and that's in coral, and that is, it's more muted. I'll actually go into that again. Just go over that. And then we've got the blush, which is in Rose. That is beautiful. And it's more of a cooler rose, which would make sense with this whole colour story. And then finally we've got another glitter, and that is the Icy Blue. So I think this looks really beautiful. So I'm going to start off with the blush. I'm going to take my Chukahodo brush and go into this. Now I'm only new to these Dior Stage, these Glow Face palettes, and not quite sure which is the one that I have in my drawer. And I only picked it up this year for the first time, and it is beautiful. You get this gorgeous glow, but I don't think that they are too much. I think it is really beautiful. The amount that I've put on, looking in the mirror here, looks about perfect. I'm just going to look on the monitor, and it's probably a little bit more washed out. So I'm just going to apply a little bit more, but the amount that I put on now would be enough for me for my everyday makeup. But I think the shade is beautiful, and it goes just gorgeous with this eye look. Then we'll take the Refer number 18, and for the highlight I'm going to use this one. This is the one in Icy Blue, and put a little bit of that just on my cheekbone, and that is it's pretty blingy. And I also noticed that I could see the glitter particles just fly away as well when I was popping it on. But it is gorgeous. It looks really beautiful. I love the shade for highlight. I think it is very, very pretty, and I think this will also go really lovely on the eyes as well. But of course you would get fallouts. You just have to go just a little bit more careful. Just go into it very carefully with a brush and just slowly tap it onto your eyes. But I think those two together are beautiful, and definitely giving that really icy look. Really, really pretty. And I also picked up a couple of lip products. So I've got the Dior Addict, and that's in Divine Plum, and that is shade 7004. And then I couldn't resist, I also had to pick up another lip maximizer. I absolutely love these, and this one is in the shade 072, and this one is in Celestial Purple. So what I'll do first is I'll use the Dior Addict one. And I love the formula of these. I have a lot of them. I often carry them in my little makeup purse that I have inside my handbag. I think that these just have an outstanding formula. So this is what the shade looks like. And here it is swatched. Now I'm not too sure what the shade is going to look like on, because I haven't tried it yet, but we'll find out. So of course the formula is just always beautiful. As I said before, I absolutely love the formula. Now the shade, I think it looks good, but I don't know whether I would wear this that often. I'm really just not into those deeper shades, but if you love those deeper shades like this, then you will like this lipstick. I won't waste it, but what I would do is probably just pop on something over the top just to lighten it up. What I'll do is I'll grab the lip maximizer, I'll pop that over the top of this and just see if it lightens it up a little bit. So here is the shade Celestial Purple, and that is what it looks like swatched. I don't think you can really see much from it, so it'll be interesting to see whether it lightens the lipstick that I've got on. So I think that it lightens it a fraction, but still doesn't take the shade to that lightness that I would like. So what I'm going to do is going to wipe this off, and then I'll put on the lip maximizer just by itself. Okay, now let's see what this lip maximizer looks like just all on its own. Then I'm going to go in with a second coat. Now for me that is just perfect. I think this is gorgeous, and there is a few little sparkles in there as well. So instead of the other one, even though I absolutely love the formula of that one, that is not a shade that I would reach for, but this lip maximizer in the shade I think is beautiful, and I think it goes gorgeous with the whole look as well. So I think that the finished look is very, very pretty. I think the eyeshadow, that Dior Backstage one, this eyeshadow palette, is absolutely gorgeous. And as I said, I've also used this middle row as well, and that looks really beautiful. And of course, instead of using this icy blue, the shimmer in the inner corner like I have, you could always go to this pearl shade, but this is a really lovely palette. No issues with the blending, and it also lasts really well during the day. But this blue and the silver and that icy blue shimmer, I think the eye look is just gorgeous. The Glow Face palette is really beautiful. I love this rose blush. These shades here that they say are glitters, they definitely are a glitter. There is a little bit of fallout. Go quite carefully if you purchase this with a brush on your cheekbone. You could also use these on your eyes as well. I think they would be very beautiful, but I just think you'd have to go fairly carefully with a brush and just tap them on really gently. But there's no reason why you can't use them on your eyes. I do think they would look really beautiful. But this shade, this rose, is really pretty. It's a really lovely palette. So with the lipsticks, it's going to be no surprise that the Dior Addict one, unfortunately the shade is not one that I'm going to be reaching for. I need to have a think of someone that I know that would use this shade, because I'm not going to reach for it, and I think that would be a waste of it just sitting there and not being used. But the formula of the Dior Addicts are stunning, outstanding, and I have a lot of them. I'm not going to go over there and count how many I've got, but I do have a lot of them because I just love the formula. Now the shade of this lip maximizer is beautiful. I love it that it's just a light look with this deep eyeshadow look as well. When I tend to do more of a bold eyeshadow look, this is a bold eyeshadow look for me. I tend to like a lighter lip. And then if I do a lighter eye look, that's when I may use more of a bolder lipstick. But in saying that, that's still not a shade in that Dior Addict that I would go for. If I was going to go for a bold shade, it wouldn't be that type of shade. But if you love that type of colour, that Dior Addict, the purple celestial one, then I recommend it because the formula is beautiful and it went on beautifully as well. No issues with that. It's just that I don't really like that color. But this lip maximizer, I think, is really, really pretty. So really pleased with everything that I picked up. Dior have done, I think, an outstanding job this year with all of their releases, and it's going to be interesting. So later this month and early next month, because it's getting towards the holiday season now, what really is the holiday season now with November, I have to start thinking about what were my favorite products. And out of Dior, that's going to be really hard to choose. I think what I'll do is, I think I did it last year and the year before, for my favorites, and if there is a fail, I did Dior all on its own, and then I'll probably do Chanel all on its own as well, and then maybe some other videos on other products that I've used. Now I also put up to my stories and also on my community page, it was a little while ago now, that I wanted to do lives. Now I still intend to do those. I'm just trying to sort a few things out, and it's a matter of deciding on a day that's going to suit me, that I know that I'm not going to get interrupted. But the majority of my subscribers, they are in the USA, so it's a matter of finding a time that is suitable for me and a day that works for me, but also at a time that suits you guys as well. But I am working on that. And also I asked a little while ago on my stories and on my community page on YouTube, another Ask Me Anything. So people have asked me some great questions, and I also did that last year, asked people, and then I never did a video on it. Now I do plan to do a video this time, so I'll also use the older questions as well. And again, I think I'll probably do that video either late November or during December. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.